Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL, a brand new game and a brand new season. Season 43 here on the F126 DLC. It's a pleasure to be back in the commentary box, and back in the commentary box where I first began my PSGL career in F4 in season, I think it was 31, a long time ago, and making their debut in PSGL season 43 is Avi Tyrrell alongside me in the commentary box. Avi, welcome in. Of course, we haven't got a face cam, but we've got a picture of you, so don't worry, his camera's not frozen. But here we go. It's been a long time waiting, but here we are in PSGL. Are you excited for the season?
I am very, very excited. You teed me in beautifully there, saying I'm following in the footsteps of you, a name that I'm sure everyone recognises. But I'm very excited. This is going to be incredible. A lot of really good competitors and such a close division of drivers. I think we're on for a good one tonight.
Certainly. And of course, before we get going, we'll have a quick look at the grid that we got for Season 43 here in PCF4. A very competitive grid. I mean, we started off with Ryan Jacobs, who of course is your champion from F4 in Season 42. Ex-Challengers driver. He's definitely a man with experience. Then we've also got Tom Wolfgram, who's our coordinator for this season. So a big thanks to him, of course, was a runner-up in F6 back in Season 41. He's jumped up 2 tiers since then. Just looking through the grid, we have Spezzi, HLR Spezzi. We have Jonas Orpel, who was a runner-up in, I think, the top 10 in Season 42 in F4. Then we have D'Amico for FST. We've got Denis Kamensky, Alessandro Finn, Simone Equestra. Odinux, who was a runner-up in F5 last season. He's now made the jump up to F4. We've got Alex Lamas, who was P4 in F5 last season, along with Pascal Gill, who was 7th in F5 last season. So 3 drivers that know each other very well. Then we have Thomas Robotham, who's been jumping around between F1 and LMU. We have Ryan Camporsi, a very competitive driver over on console. Ken Fisher, who isn't here tonight. We've got Zwade Q, Molly Mo, Leonardo Tonelato. Surprising to see him here in F4 as he's an ex-PSGL F2 driver. An F3 driver, we've got Lucas SL, Mikael Kutsela, Neo Steins, Marcel Paps, who's recently joined Thibaut Courtois Esports. And then finally, Tuomas Laminen, another very competitive driver in the grid for tonight. And as qual is getting started, I think it's a perfect time, Avi, to look at what different tracks we're heading to this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a start this season to be starting at Silverstone. Such an iconic racetrack with a lot of overtakes, very low downforce. Continuing on with China, where the grip begins to low down, but keeping that low downforce with Spa going into round 3. The drivers then take a break as we go into August, coming back to Madrid, and I think they're going to need that extra week of practice with a brand new track and some very close racing, finishing off the Europe Tour in this middle part of the calendar with Austria and Imola. Nice to see Imola coming back on the calendar despite disappearing from Formula 1 in real life, and then finishing off the season in the Americas, going to Vegas, Mexico, Brazil, and then Bahrain and Texas, ending off the season. I think this season's going to be all about overtaking because we've got a lot of great racetracks here.
Indeed, yes. Probably one of my favourite calendars that we've had in a very long time in PSGL, so I'm very excited to see how that goes. But without further ado, we can head our way into the race session, or the qualifying session, as we get started for what can be very, very interesting season. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to Job and hello to Helades, my brother. Great to see you in here. Of course, if you know, you know when I say my brother. Brilliant guy. And of course, Helades is racing over in PSF6, so make sure to check him out on Monday. But here we go with our first laps of qualifying for Season 43 here in PCF4. One of the first cars to get us underway will be Simone Equestra in the Williams. Of course, part of VLS, who used to be, I believe, ONB. They've had a bit of a rebrand and got a couple of drivers in this tier, so we'll see how that works out for them. But let's have a run along here as we head down towards Brooklands with the Williams driver, Avi.
Yep. Heading down one of the few overtaking points at this circuit, using the extra battery mode we'll see in the race. But here in qualifying, keeping an eye on that battery, not overdoing it in these first couple sectors and losing out on that run towards Stowe in the final sector. He goes through Woodcott and onto the old pit straight into Copse. How Bravely Be, not lifting off at all, complete flat out corner, using every inch of the racetrack to the outside as he possibly can, and into Magus and Beckett's. It's one of the most iconic section of racetracks. It was twisting left and right, the twists getting tighter and tighter as you go through and onto the straight once again, and you'll see the overtake mode enabled. Rear wing in the front wing opening up, allowing that extra speed down the straight, emptying that battery down, going towards Stowe. Throwing it through the right-hand corner again, using every inch of track to the outside, right on the white line, and into the chicane of Vale. Heavy on the brakes, twisting through 1 and 2, avoiding that raised red curb that can unsettle the car, and he seems to have absolutely nailed it as he comes across the line, and it is third fastest with a 26.8.
Indeed, and many lap times are starting to come through as Ryan Camporsi goes up to P2, about a tenth and A little bit away from Marcel Pabst. What about the two McLarens? Finn up to P4. Lexi Cavero up to P4 as well, just displacing his teammate. Many more cars are all trying to feed their way through. You've just got to try and spot someone as Pascal Gill goes second. What about Tom Wolfgram? He jumps up into the top 5 in the Aston Martin. There's many more drivers coming through to complete their first laps. Neo Steins. I'm not meant to be biased, but I am because I'm his manager. He's 4th at the moment. D'Amico goes up to 2nd for FST. A nice lap by the Ferrari, only around half a tenth away from the time of Pabst. As Spezzi goes quickest, our first driver into the 0.5s, and Molimo goes even quicker with a 0.549 by the driver in the RB. A great start to ET8 here for this season, as we see a couple more drivers popping their lap times on the board, as Kamensky goes up into P6, and we saw, I think, Lucas SL there go up into the top 10, but that's most of the first laps done at the moment here, Avi, and at the moment the gaps aren't looking too bad. It's only 3/10 separating the top 17 here, as Kuzella goes 4th.
Yeah, incredibly close. I was watching as Dennis Kamensky coming through the Vale chicane, had a big snap on the exit, and that must have cost him a few tenths. He was on for a flyer lap. Definitely one to watch.
Certainly, and only 51 thousandths separates the top 3 in this session. You've got Molimo ahead of Spezzi, ahead of Marcel Pabst, Mikhail Krutzela and D'Amico round off your top 5 in this one. Then you can just show how close times are. Kamensky, Camporsi and Steins are separated by 2 1,000ths of a second. Very, very close there. And also looking further down, Guevara and Laminen are matching times. 2.7 off the pace at the moment, as everybody will make their way back into the pit lane, and then we'll get going again very shortly. Of course, got a couple of new teams on the grid in terms of community teams for this season. Of course, we all know about Cadillac and Audi, but we have TC, which for those that don't know is Thibaut Courtois Esports, and I don't think I need to explain who Thibaut Courtois is, apart from he's probably one of the best football players in the world at the moment. Of course, he's launched his own team, taking part in Euro Cup 3 and the Spanish F4. They've also got an esports team which was launched very recently, and Marcel Pabst is one of their drivers. They've also got the likes of Sergio Sobrino, who's a top runner over in F2, and Victor Vidler, who I believe is in F3 this season. And one of the other new teams we've got, and he's not rocking the name, but he's part of them, is Leonardo Tonelato. He's part of DMT, D'Amato Racing, who is actually owned by Cristiano D'Amato, an ex-F1 driver. Driving for Toyota back in 2003, 2004. I'm sure we had Jarno Trulli and Olivier Panis' teammates. I mean, that's not something to, well, it's something to brag about for sure, isn't it, Avi? And great to have, you know, drivers and, you know, celebrities owning teams with such relevance in the sporting industry.
Absolutely. We see Marcel Pabst taking the fastest lap by only a few hundredths there. But no, you're right. Definitely, it's a good-looking CV, I think it's fair to say, for a couple of these teams for sure. But we can't forget the old classics, those that I'm sure are names we all recognise, ETA, FVR. This is a very competitive grid.
Yeah, certainly is. Lovely to see so many teams all bunched up into one field, as we do see, of course, perhaps taking that fastest lap. It now brings the top 4 just within a couple of thousandths of being a tenth away from each other. Very competitive at the moment at the start of this qualifying session, as many more drivers are back out on track for their out laps. One of the first ones that will be starting a lap will be the Haas car of Leonardo Tonelato. So we'll keep an eye here on the Italian and see what he can do on his next lap. Peton at the moment, and when I was talking to him earlier on, he says I'd be surprised if I'm not if I'm not last. Well, at the moment he's in the top 10, so yeah, doing a lot better than his expectations. That is safe to say. And let's see what he can do on this next flying lap.
Absolutely. And I have a question for you as well. Brand new game, brand new battery, brand new cars. Is that going to change the strategy going into quali? Usually we see 3 quali laps, maybe 2, depending on the track. Here, people are talking about double out laps. They're talking about running the fuel down. How do you think it's going to change with these new cars?
I think a lot of the qualifying is going to be the same in the sense of the amount of runs they do. I think it'll be the same as it always is. Some tracks, of course, are always going to be, well, for most drivers, can be double out laps. Other drivers just opt to go for the one. This track will be 1 out lap. Just because there's not going to be enough fuel to do 3 laps in total and then get back into the pits. In terms of the actual laps themselves, they've changed heavily. There's so much more lifting. If you watch Tonelato here, he's lifting all the way through. He's down to 6th gear by the time you get to Maggots. Normally, you're not down to 6th before you're out of Beckett's. So, of course, it's a big shift in the way you have to take to a qualifying lap. And for some drivers, it takes the fun out of it because you're not pushing, you're not on the limits as you would be normally. And, yeah, a lot of heavy lifting. And I suppose the good thing about it is it's bringing the grid closer because everybody's limited. And it's not allowing others to push further on. Everybody's got that maximum that they can all push to. So that's why we're seeing so many similar lap times, as Tonelato did finish the lap, but didn't find an improvement.
I'm watching currently Tom Wolfgram weaving his way through the cars at Cops there. A little bit of traffic getting in his way on his hot lap, but he set a very fine middle sector as he weaves through the S's at Maggots and Beckett's. And here he goes onto the straight. And Ferrari kindly moving out the way as he continues his lap, emptying the battery on the run towards Stoke. The ET8 man currently sat in P12, looking to improve to the top 10, or maybe even better. We'll see as we go into the Vale chicane, using all the track on the outside. He's weaving to the inside. How early can he get the power on? Very nicely done there, and he did it quite neatly. Crosses the line, and it looks solid, and it was indeed solid. P4.
Indeed, a nice lap there from Wolfgram, who puts the two Aston Martins first and fourth in the session at the moment. We'll try and find somebody else on a lap. We've got one of the Ferraris there on an out lap, and passing them is one of the silver cars, which I'd imagine could be a Cadillac. We'll try and find them on the grid. It's Pascal Gill, who's up by a 10th in the opening two sectors, so we'll see what he can manage to bustle up here through the final corner, up to the line, goes third fastest. A nice lap there from Pascal, about half a tenth away from the time of Marcel Pabst, as the two McLarens are coming through, Alessandro Fin and Alexi Cavero. Alexi goes P6 for him, a nice lap there, and Alessandro Fin just pops himself up into the top 10, but I imagine that won't last long, as many others behind are looking to try and find some improvements. We've got Ryan Camporsi here heading through the middle sector, just looking for someone up to the line. Lucas SL goes P5. A great lap from him there in the Red Bull, only yet again, really close to that time from Marcel Pabst, as Tuomas Laminen goes up to third in the Alpine. Molimo goes quickest. A great lap time, and our first driver into the .4s as Mikael Kudzela goes up into P2 with a 5.17. And once again, Avi, we're seeing drivers finding so much time on their laps. I think part of it's track evolution, but also a lot of drivers are still probably trying to get used to how to qualify so differently in this game.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's definitely a learning curve for some of these drivers. I'm currently watching, and there is an Alpinist Laminen who's managed to find 2/10 in his first sector. He is absolutely flying. We'll see how he does. Coming round, going towards Woodcott now. This is looking like it's going to be a solid lap, but we'll see. We've still got a lot of cars coming across the line.
I think Laminen's completed his lap. I think there might have been a bit of a glitch. Sometimes the timing screens do that, and it annoys me. It takes us off guard very quickly. So he's just completed a lap, so he's going to head back to the pits, as Alexi Cavero is also heading back in. Just got to try and find somebody on a lap, and I don't think anybody is at the moment. Ryan Jacobs, he's the second down in the first sector. Not been a promising start for him, of course, as our champion last season. And at the moment, he's in 18th, and he's 4/10 off the fastest lap time. So I'm hoping he can try and find something in that final lap. Let's see what Zwade is up to here on his next lap. I think he's also going to be heading back in. He's going very slow through that middle sector. So at the moment, as it stands, it'll be Molimo who is on provisional pole in the RB. Mikael Kudzela's second, and Marcel Pabst up in third. Your two Alpines of Ryan Camporsi and Tuomas Laminen round off your top 5. Very close as things stand, but I suppose that's expected with a lot of these grids in PSGL. I mean, I'd say F2 probably through to F6. Your 4 grid's not going to be any more than 3 or 4 tenths, is it? Because they're just so close together in pace. I mean, so many of them have signed up that it's very easy to put people into a group where they're very similar.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a pretty good job. It is very, very close. But that's so impressive from Molimo to be a full 10th ahead of the rest of the pack. When a 10th down from there, it's all the way at P12. So he seems to be... Actually, will he be feeling comfortable? Is he happy with that gap? Or do you think he's be feeling the pressure now he's the man to beat?
I think there'll definitely be pressure, because I think there's a lot of drivers on the grid that can match that, if not go quicker. So it's still going to be pressurising, but I'd imagine a 0.4, you're still looking at a guaranteed top 5 without an improvement, I'd imagine, because I think there's many drivers in the grid who've kind of already reached their peak in this session so far and probably won't find much more. A lot of them are going to find nearly 2/10 on that lap, so yeah, promising for Molimo in terms of qualifying up near the top of the grid. Of course, guys, let us know in the chat who you think will be going for pole position, Ethan Devaney or Devaney. I still can't say your name right, it's so stupid. Gus says, Neo pole incoming. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I wish he goes for pole, but currently 2/10 away. Needs to find a lot of time, does Neo, but I'm sure he can do something in the Audi. And Gabrielle saying, let's go Leo. We'll see what Leo can do. Where is he at the moment? P17. We're on board with him, actually. He's on a lap at the moment. We'll see what Mr. Tonelato can do. And then Bingo Bongo says M. So, don't know who that's in support of, unless it's Molimo. I don't know. But here we go. Final laps of the session. Who are we looking at for pole, Avi? Who's your bets looking at the grid so far?
I think it is very, very difficult to predict with it being so close. But I think Marcel Paps might have. I watched his lap. It looks solid. I think there's time to be found. I think he might be a little bit of an underdog to make a few positions now on these final runs. But what about you?
It's a hard one, but I'm going to go with Turo Maslamanen just because of his experience. I expect him to be able to pull something out of the bag very quickly. So he's my bet for pole, the Alpine man. There's Tonelato. Let's see what he's up to in the middle sector at the moment. He's down by 400. So that's not ideal considering he's down in 17th. I've got to hope that he's got enough fuel to go again. Otherwise, it's going to be rather a poor ending to qualifying here for Tonelato, who's making his way down towards the final couple of corners into the chicane. Not too bad. And then, of course, we'll see what he can do as he makes his way up to the line. He's on a 26.7 at the moment. He improves, but that only puts him into P15. It's only a couple of positions. And he found, I think, at least half a tenth. So it just shows how close the grid is. Half a tenth can only get you 1 or 2 positions, as everybody now, bar the 2 Williams, are on an outlap, and they're just heading out now. So it's not too long until we get into the final moments of qualifying, and we'll see who can take that pole position. I think the first car to start a lap will be one of the Audis, and it will be Neo Steins, my man, who's going to get us going here for the final laps of quality. Let's see what he can do, Avi, as we make our way to his final lap.
Yeah, let's find out. Heading towards the heavy braking of turn 3, and I think he might be going for another outlap. No battery use so far.
Yeah, maybe he's fueled himself up a little bit more. Unless you can go double outlap on this track. I just thought that Silverstone was not one that you often did. But maybe it is. So Neo goes again. See what Tom Wolfgram's going to do. He's burnt a little bit more battery, but keep an eye on. We'll see what he does at the end of the first sector, because you can barely push that much anyway. You never know if they're on a lap or not. But it does look like Wolfgram is putting down the pace, doesn't it? We'll see what he can do in sector 1. Is it going to be an improvement? It will be by 1,000th of a second. So I think it's safe to say, Avi, that he's on a lap.
I believe so. He is. He is giving it the beans, I will say, in that first sector. Just about improving, but pretty much matching what he did earlier in the session.
Indeed. Let's see what Wolfgram can do. Down towards Copse Corner. Of course, a very, very infamous corner for those of Max Verstappen supporters. But it's always a corner that gives you quite a lot of... it makes me just sit back and realise how good these cars are, that they can go through that corner at over 250 kilometres an hour and just fly through there flat with no issue at all. Definitely a spectacle for motor racing. As Tom Wolfgram, though, he's down by 11 thousandths in that middle sector, Avi. So it's do or die in this final sector. Let's see what he can do in the Aston Martin.
It's going to be full send into Vale. How late on the brakes can he possibly go? And he goes into the first spot and the second. Can he find that time? How early can he put the throttle on? And he's managed to do it quite well. Emptying that battery out. What can he find? And it's not a position he can find, nor time. And he stays where he is in 10th.
Indeed, as many more are coming through into the final set. So we have one of the McLarens, which is not going to be Alexi Cavero. It will be Alessandro Finn, who qualifies 15th at best. Many more are coming through. We'll stick on board here with the second McLaren. Let's see what Zwade can do and doesn't improve from 18th. Will be starting near the back of the grid. What can the McLaren do? Cavero goes up to P6. Pabst jumps up into second place, about 10 thousandths away from Molimo, who's looking to improve again in that middle sector. What can he do? Through the final quarter, Pascal Gill goes third. Molimo improves. It's a 3.32. It's a superb lap by the ET8 driver And I'm not sure if anybody can beat that one. Kuzella is up by a 10th in the middle sector, but is that enough to displace Molimo from pole position as Zamanin goes P7 to Mako in the Ferrari. Jumps up to third as that's going to be Denis Kamensky up to P2 for Tess. What about Kuzella? Can he displace? No, he goes fourth in the Mercedes, and I think that is most of the drivers complete on their laps. As Camporsi goes up to P4, he does find an improvement. Lamas up to P5, Equestra up into the top 8 in the Williams, and Tonelato makes his way into the top 10. A couple more cars to complete laps. Steins won't find an improvement, neither will Wolfgram. What about Orpel, who's coming through the final corner now, was a 10th down in Sector 2, up to the line, stays 20th place. But there we have it, Molimo with a superb lap time. 126.332. I mean, that's probably going to be quite competitive over in PCF3 and PCF2.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive lap. He's got a big gap as well compared to the rest of the field to P2. But I'm also impressed with Tess. P2 and P6, they're starting very strong for the race.
Indeed. But there we go. What an ending to qualifying that was. And it's not often we get an ending like that where everybody's finding improvements and you never knew who was going to take pole. But it was Molimo who found so much time on that lap. And that's one thing I noticed. Every lap he found more time. First lap it was a 0.5. Then it was a low 0.4. Then it was a low 0.3. He was constantly edging away at his best lap. And in the end it's rewarded him with that pole position lap time. So we'll go through the grid in just a moment once we can see the leaderboard. So it will be the German Molimo starting on pole position for the first race of season 43. Denis Kamensky up into P2 with Marcel Pabst in third. Fourth, it's Ryan Camporsi ahead of Alex Lamas in the Cadillac. It's Mikhail Kuzella in P6 ahead of Mako in 7th. Simone Equestra in 8th ahead of Pascal Gill in 9th. And Leonardo Tonelato rounds off your top 10. Then we have Tuomas Samanen, who dropped all the way down the grid from up in the top 5 ahead of Cavero, Spezzi, SL, Odino Tux, Wolfgram, Steins, Robotham, Jacobs, Orpel, Finn and Zwade. Your top 22. Now, Avi, it's time to get ready for what could be a very exciting British Grand Prix. I mean, what's your predictions here?
If the gaps in pace are as close as they were in qualifying, this could go any which way. But also, we need to talk about strategy as well. How do you think the drivers are going to be preparing for this in terms of tyres?
I don't have a clue, really. I'd imagine it's medium, hard, medium. I don't think there's 2 stops, and the soft tyres are useless. So it does give me the process of elimination to say medium, hard, medium, which has normally been the strategy around this track. So we'll keep an eye on what goes on, and I'm very disappointed in Neo for qualifying P17, so I will have a go at him later on because he's let my team down and he's let me down. Unless he can get a podium, then I'll say, you know what, Neo, fair enough, you made your way back through the grid. But if he doesn't get points, I might even give him the sack. Depends how mean I want to be later on. But it shouldn't be too
very
long.
much on then.
Huh?
The pressure's going to be very much on him then.
Certainly. I mean, he doesn't know, so I'd imagine the pressure isn't on in that case. So we might get a nice surprise or a horrible message later on, one of the two. I'm sure Ethan can message it to him. Oh dear me. Right, come on, let's load in, please. It's a long wait, but of course everybody has to get their setups on there. Well, they've got them on already, but they might have to make a few adjustments. They need to do their strategies, talk to the engineers, and then hopefully nobody has any issues with the game and we can get going straight away.
Yep, let's hope.
Indeed. And this is the worst point because I never know what to talk about because, like, you know, we should be getting started. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds and you're in. Other times it's about a minute or two. Blue sign Messi. Haha, nice one. Yeah, definitely, Ethan. Definitely.
I'm a Watford fan. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, at the moment, it looks like you're going down. It's not looking too positive for you, is it?
You've been watching us too much.
Saw one of your friendlies and one of your fans was just like bamboozled about how poor you were. But I suppose that's what happens when you have like 16 managers in 10 years.
Let's talk about F1 again. So, how are we thinking about the F1 season so far? Yeah. Not talking about Watford.
No, the F1 season's not going good at all for Verstappen, and he's who I support. And Alonso, let's just not even get started, please.
Oh dear.
Because that can take me into whirlpool of depression for sure. I mean, glad that Antonelli's performing well. I think he deserves it. I think he deserves it more than Russell. I think Russell's got too big of an ego for his achievements. And Hamilton, Could always be a surprise package if Ferrari can make things better. But we all know the one thing they're bad at: mid-season development. Every year.
That is where they might get overtaken, I hope, from the reigning champ, who I support, Lando Norris.
Yeah, I'm not too
That's why
keen on
everybody's going
Lando,
back.
I'll be honest.
Oh.
So, hoping for his downfall. Well, more McLarens. But
We're going to have a rivalry in the comments box here.
yeah, Red Bull versus
Before the race even
McLaren.
starts.
That both of the teams are both poor this season, so yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Maybe
message
they can
from
be an
Bingo
alliance.
Bongo. The only one's better here than Monaco with the two commentate. Well, we'll take that.
Ah,
Are we actually going to line up second and third on the grid? I don't think so. Maybe if you can go down to like 52nd on the grid, we'll get there.
yeah. Bring a car out and sit at the back.
Starting to think there's been an issue for somebody here because we're still not going in, unfortunately. If anybody in the chat can just let us know what the situation is, because it's never normally this long of a wait, unless this season they've increased it, because I know last season they made it so you had to wait for a certain time before going in. There we go. We start at 29, so we're not going to go for another minute at least. Brilliant.
That's why. Give the drivers a little bit of a toilet break. I'm sure they were clenched through that quali session, given how close it was, and they're going to need it for this race, I'm sure. So maybe it's required.
Certainly. And of course, in the chat, let us know who you think will take the win as well. I know Ethan wants Neo to win. Maybe he will, you never know. But I think Monaco will. I don't think there's any way anybody can beat him. He looks really quick. And I'll be honest, he's a driver I've never heard of. So it's nice to see a new upcoming name flying through the ranks. And at the moment, looks to certainly be the man to beat in qualifying. But we'll see what he can do in the race, because we've seen many drivers flying quality, but then they can't quite do it in the race. So we'll see what Monaco can manage to do there. And I hope I'm saying his name right. Could be Monaco. Yeah, I don't think it's anything different. He's an unknown driver, because I also couldn't find his nationality or what he's done in PSGL in the past. As here we go for the first race of season 43 for PCF4. It's 5 lights. It's Monaco from pole that leads us away down to turn 1. And a really good start by the RB. A poor start, though, from Marcel Pabst, who gets jumped ahead by Ryan Camporsi down towards turn 3 for the opening time. But a couple of cars going side by side, and Ryan still in a battle with Marcel. They head their way through, and actually, Ryan's going for a move on Denis Kamensky through turn 5. They go a superb overtake, but he's got to hold it off down towards Brooklands corner. And Camporsi's got that move done and does claim P2. Can he go for P1? No. He's a little bit too far back, as Mikael Kuzella looking for some early moves as well.
Yeah, huge start from Camporsi. Up to P2 he goes on the opening lap. This is going to be perfect for his chance to run towards the win. Watching an Alpine here, I think, challenge up through the grid. Bit of lag on my side there. Camporsi trying to get close enough to Cops, but couldn't quite get close enough for that move. Here we go, moving towards Maggots and Beckett and on to the straight. Is he prepared? Can he get that exit right and go for the lead on this opening lap? Monaco with a great start, managing to hold on, but Willie going on the run towards Stowe. Burning that battery, using the slipstream and that extra bonus speed. The car leading, cutting through the air. Can the Alpine get close enough, though? Is there a dive? There's not. He plays it safe. It is still just one lap.
Well, the interesting strategy is there that Ryan's gone for a set of the soft tyres. Nobody else has done so. We've got majority of the grid on hard, mediums, and a couple of them on hard. So that is interesting there from Ryan, as that's going to be a couple of drivers coming together down at the final couple of corners, as Ryan Jacobs goes through on Jonas Orpel, who jumps ahead of Ardino Tux as well. They make their way in towards turn 1. Ryan Camporsi's taken the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 2 of 26. Monaco drops down to P2, but of course, soft tyres will work in the favour of Ryan, as that's going to be Marcel Pabst getting wheel to wheel with Mikael Kuzella out of turn 5 and down towards Brooklands corner. Monaco once again, he's fighting back for the lead, but he tucks in behind as they head onto the brakes. And we do see as well Mikael tucking in behind the back of Marcel after going for an attack down the Hanger Straight. As we see Spezzi there going ahead of Alexi Cavero. And these two have been battling all the way since lap 1. Lap later, they're still going at it here, and Alexi maybe going for the outside line into Cops, forcing Spezzi for a poor line. Alexi trying to get the better of him and can't quite do so as they head down towards Maggots and Beckett's corner. But so far, we've seen quite a few overtakes here, and drivers definitely looking to get on with things early and make some key moves.
I think this is going to be Tess happy. We've got a great start from both cars. I think Kudzela is looking for a move on the Aston Martin again, going towards Stowe, but not close enough for a dive. And on the other side of the garage, we've got Kamensky trying to get involved in this lead fight. Camporsi keeping them at a high pace with those soft tyres. I think he might be trying to break away from the rest of the pack to use those red rims to good use.
Indeed, and a nice move there from Robotham to go ahead of Lucas SL, who's going to try and fight back, though, down towards turn 1. As we go back up to the front, and there's moves happening here. Kamensky goes past 1, but he's blocked in behind Raya. That allows Molimo to go for a move, potentially. But once again, Kamensky's got the better line into turn 4. Molimo goes very wide and loses quite a lot of time, but he's got a perfect exit. He burns the battery early and goes back ahead of Dennis Kamensky as they head their way down towards Brooklands corner. And Molimo back into P2 after losing that place slightly. And I suppose that's what this battery allows you to do, this different system. It just allows drivers just to get onto things, onto Lepera a bit earlier. And it gave Molimo a great run, even though he had a really poor entry and exit to turn 4.
Yeah, it's all about management with these cars, especially when they're running so close. The entire field within that 1 second range, which gives them that extra battery down the straights. But Camporsi keeping the pace up, trying to hold on to that lead. We've got a straight coming up once again on the exit of Club Corner. Or Chapel Corner, I should say. We go onto the straight. They had a great exit, but will he be able to hold on? Now the car's behind with that blue battery, the bonus battery that he's going to be using down the straight. But there's no move still being made. Great from Camporsi holding on.
Indeed, but give it a couple of laps and Camporsi will be a lot slower than the others because those soft tyres will die quickly as Kuzella's forced into a move ahead of Marcel Pabst. Pabst shows him the elbow and keeps P4. That was a bit of a ballsy move there as now Alex Lamas trying to get involved in the Cadillac. But he can't quite make the move up into turn 1. And still, Kuzella holds on, but he's definitely under pressure again down towards turn 3 at Village. Lamas on the outside line, he can't quite force a move and of course has to be careful himself of D'Amico. If he makes a mistake, D'Amico will be right there on the attack as Laminan and Pascal Gale are looking to make some battles. Oh, what's happened there to Kuzella? He's gone wide. He's gone really slow out of turn 5 and not sure if he's had some sort of issue, but he's completely blocked the track there and everybody's feeding through on him. Oh, and there's contact!
There. And as a Haas has gone spinning off, I think he might have collected another car as well. And I think it was the Italian of Tonolato, and it was. What is going on with the Mercedes?
Oh, what a shame. What's happened to Mikael Kuzella? Something's not gone right. Tonolato's retired, I believe, in rage of that. And I think I don't know if he's disconnected because something's not right. We've got a safety car, or at least a VSC, on track. Dear me, that was
definitely some kind of issue going on with the Mercedes because, yeah, you noticed it. Slowed down the straight, just got swallowed by everyone.
Yeah, that was it was interesting, wasn't it? I don't think I've seen something quite like that before. That's safe to say, but yeah, Kuzella must have got pushed off at turn 4, and then of course, since then it seems like the car just wasn't going anywhere.
Ooh, massive strategy call there from Molimo coming into the pits on the VSC. Can he take Haas to the end, or will it be a 2-stop?
That's early. Oh, and Lucas SL gets a penalty for ignoring the yellow flags. So he's ignored his delta there, and that gives him a 10-second penalty. Same for Jonas Orpel as well. 10-second penalty going his way. So when they come to pit, they've got no choice but to serve the penalty. So that's not what they want for their races, and pretty much ruins their chance of going for the top 10 positions. Many other drivers are in as well. Neo Steins, Tom Wolfgram, Ryan Jacobs in as well. Neo and Tom going for the medium tyres. Hard tyres for Lucas and for Molimo and for Jonas and Ryan. That is very bold strategy calls early on here in Silverstone. Very interested to see what they can do. I mean, surely it's got to be 2 stops for all of them because you're not going to go that far on a hard or a medium.
It's going to have to be heavy management. I think you're right. If they're looking to take those tyres to the end, a few of them, as you said, gone on to mediums, they will have to make another stop. They have to use 2 different compounds of tyres. You can't finish the race on medium.
No. Even if you started on the hards, you're not going to get to the ends on mediums. You're not going to do 21 laps on mediums. No way. You can barely do that on the hards. So they've forced themselves into a 2-stop here.
Difficult with such a long pit lane at Silverstone as well.
Yep. You lose a lot of time. I think it's the most time loss out of all tracks. So, I mean, it's not good in the sense of you lose so much time now, but of course, if you can make that overcut work, it helps you a lot because, you know, the drivers that have gone in earlier have spent a lot of time in the pit lane as well, so it kind of cancels it out, as that's going to be Simone and Spezzi coming side by side, and I think Spezzi's got the move done up into P8 for the Audi. And a nice start for him as well. Of course, started outside the top 10, but has now moved himself up into the top 8 as Kamensky closing down on Ryan Camporsi, and I don't think it'll be that long before Ryan's tyres are dead completely and he'll have to go into the pits.
It's interesting that he wasn't one of the boys who decided to go into the pits during that VSC. He's opted to stay out.
Indeed, yeah, I thought he was the one that went in at first, and I realised, no, it's not the same car as Kamensky goes for a move. Oh, and Steins have retired in the pit lane. So that's his race done. Went onto the mediums and has retired. So not sure if he's got any sort of issue there, or maybe the game didn't put him onto the right tyre. I'm not sure, but something isn't right for him, and that's his race over. You go back to the top 3, and here's Marcel Pabst closing down quickly on the back of Ryan and looking for a move. Goes past Ryan. Can he get the move past Kamensky? Yes, he can. And Marcel Pabst into the lead. Caught 2 drivers off guard, and he now is at the front of the field in that Aston Martin. A superb overtake.
Yeah, that was fantastic management from him, but might he regret it at the end of this straight because he's going to be under pressure from the 2 behind him. Here comes Kamensky coming back against him, going into Stowe. Can he make a dive? He's not. He's going to play it safe for now. Is there an opportunity going towards the chicane down the bottom of the hill? Will he cut to the inside? No, he stays where he is, and what a perfect move from Pabst. Very well planned.
Yeah, great strategy there by Pabst to go into the lead, but of course he knows here that he's going to be under pressure here from Kamensky down towards turn 1, and he's pretty much hugging the rear of that Aston Martin through the opening couple of corners, and down to turn 3. Could be his place to strike, but he chooses not to and stays in second. Oh dear me, contact, and that was Ryan Camporsi into the back of Dennis Kamensky. Oh dear me, and that's his race done and dusted in terms of probably going for a top 10 finish. He started up in the top 3, and that's his race pretty much over. Big shame for the Mercedes, and they were, what, 2nd and 4th? Now 11th and 14th.
It's definitely a head and hands moment, I think, for the test team, because it has not gone right on either side of the garage, but the race continues on. Marcel Pabst now potentially with the better tyres on those mediums, looking probably to pull away from the Alpine. Ryan Camporsi, who's going to be looking to cling on as the grip begins to get lower.
Certainly, as here is Jamaica, who's moved his way up to 4th place. Same for Alex Lamas, up into 3rd. Brilliant driving by those two so far. We're on lap 7 of 26 here, so just over a third of the way through this race, and been very chaotic so far. Many of our front runners have been knocked down the field. So we'll be interested to see what happens at the end of this one. We make our way through Stowe Corner, as that's going to be Ryan heading for the pit lane. Well, I'd imagine that he'll probably get a penalty for what he committed on Kamensky, so I think he's going to have to try his best to finish as high as possible to stop him losing that top 10 spot, because there's no way that he's not going to get penalised for that. If he doesn't get penalised, then it seems that FIFA have took, well, seems that the FIA here have took FIFA strategy of Argentina.
Very potentially. Is a little bit of a swapping positions for the Williams, or maybe they're fighting. It didn't look very planned for both of them getting a move past his teammate Equestri for P8, I should say. And now he's the one leading the charge through the train up to P1. Next up on the list is Cavero.
Indeed, and Spezzi on the back of Tuomas Laminen. You'd imagine that quickly he should dispatch the Alpine, because Spezzi's been making moves left, right and centre so far. A very progressive driver in the race, as Wade goes ahead of Alessandro Finn, and Finn tries to fight back up the up and under through Woodcut. Can't quite do it there. As Wade will hold on to that P11 for now, and his aim will be to get within a second of Dennis Kamensky, so we can get that boost mode, which will help him heavily in fending off from the McLaren. As we go back up towards the front, of course, it's still Marcel Pabst in the lead, ahead of Alex Lamas, and D'Amico in 3rd. He's very hungry on looking for that P2 move. He could have a chance here. Down towards Stowe Corner, up the inside goes the Ferrari and makes the move for 2nd place. And that is a superb one. But can the Cadillac fight back down towards the chicane? No, he can't. Superb work by the Ferrari, as that's going to be a pit stop there for Spezzi. He goes in. Both ages have made a pit stop. Of course, one of them is out of the race. The other is now trundling down the pit lane and should go into a set of the hard tyres.
What I've also been noticing, as we saw, Molimo, who was originally the leader of this race, took pole position. He pitted under the VSC, and the gap between him and Ryan Camporsi, who pitted the last lap, was 6 seconds. It's come down to 5.6. Is that a big enough gap, considering the tyre disadvantage he has? 3 laps older than the Alpine chasing him, and soon it's going to be a lot of cars chasing him as well.
Certainly will be. It'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on, that will. And I'm not sure if Molimo's really played the strategy right, to be fair. But we'll wait and see. Considering he started on pole and he had a very good chance of a top 3, I feel like in that instance you just got to take the traditional strat. There's no point trying to do something different and to make yourself look like a hero. I thought he would have just stayed with the normal strategy, because it's not like he's got... it's not like he's going to have to try and fight really hard to win it. The win was probably there in his grasps, but now he's put himself into a position where he's got a lot to lose in this race. And look at Camporsi, already gained a half a second on him. So this is interesting, but we'll see what he can do, because so far he's had some good pace. So maybe that's going to come to his aid once the likes of Camporsi and Spezzi catch up to him, as Cavero goes ahead of Laminen and makes a move. Decent there by the McLaren, who heads into the pits, and Laminen will follow him in. And I've got to say, I'm surprised that we haven't seen anybody speed in the pit lane so far, as Laminen nearly hit the back of Cavero and nearly did speed into the pit lane.
Well, people talk about commentators' curse, but you really risked it there, didn't you?
Of course.
They managed to get in unscathed. Here comes D'Amico, who is now in P2, chasing down our race leader, Marcel Pabst, heading towards turn 3, but unable to make a move there. 2 Cadillacs chasing them down in this little train for the lead. Now, I'm sure they'll be planning strategy as well, considering what we've been watching elsewhere on the grid, with fresher tyres meaning a massive pace advantage, could allow an overcut in the strategies. We've got yellow flags, and I didn't quite catch who that was.
That Finn, maybe. Not sure. Or was it Robotham, because he's lost a lot of time to Alessandro Finn. It was down in the first sector, or at the end of the first sector at least. I think it might have been Robotham there, but because he's lost a lot of time to Gill, and he's only got a 1 second gap to Alessandro Finn now. It was over 3 seconds.
But not ideal for the Williams, who we did miss it, but has had some kind of issue in that first sector, as you say. Here we go, heading towards the final sector again. I'm sure these leading 5 or 4 drivers are watching here. We're planning their pit stops in the coming few laps. Could it be this lap? Can D'Amico get close enough for a move? And he won't. Stays currently in second place. And will we see them file off to the right-hand side of your screen or left now to go into the pits? They absolutely do. And I think that might be 3 of them, as a Cadillac opting not for the double stack. And, a bit of contact there in the pit lane. And that could have been the speeding in the pit lane that we were worrying about. But perhaps, fortunately, slow enough to not be detected by the pit lane.
Indeed. And the top 3 all go in. Pascal Gill will continue on. So will Thomas Robotham. So 3 cars, because also Zwade. But, of course, Zwade is going to be on the hard tyres. So he's got a different strategy anyway. So, yep, only 2 medium runners left of those that started on medium tyres. Of course, Tom Wolfgram, a little bit further down, started on hards but moved to mediums. So he's also on a bit of a different strategy. So we'll see what Gill and Robotham can do on that overcut. Of course, the main driver to keep an eye on will be Gill, because Robotham's 6 seconds back. So he's not really in any fight with the leaders. As Molimo is on the back of Odino Tux here. ET8 versus VLS. It should be a pretty easy move here from Molimo, who goes up the inside and goes ahead of Odino Tux, who can't fight that one off at all in the Ferrari. And of course, who just seemed to have been left behind in this race and has managed to go nowhere, really. So a big shame for him. He's probably not going to come home with any points. So I suppose he's just got to do his best to see if something can happen, maybe a safety car or a couple of collisions to go his way for him to be able to score some points, because the last thing you want is your first race where you're being overtaken by the leaders 11 laps in.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think his best chance, if he can, is try and stay with Molimo to try and pull him forward, to try and catch up with the pack ahead. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for him to pull this one back, as you say. But into the pits comes the leader, Pascal Gill, off the mediums, taking them a little longer than everyone else. However, we're both of them continuing on for an 11th lap on the white.
Yeah, Swade's disconnected, which is not good for him at all, is it? In third, I mean, I know he was also in a bit of a compromising spot, but they put him into a position where he's going to be joining back in and being so far back behind everybody. It seems, Javier, that there's got to be always one driver in every race that disconnects. It can never happen where nobody does. Somebody has to disconnect, and unfortunately it was Wade in this case.
I guess it's our version of an engine blowout. Something it happens to somebody every race, but we don't know who.
Certainly, but luckily these guys can keep going once they join back in. But I mean, you're never going to have a chance to do anything, as Wade has lost like 4 seconds in all of that. As that's Marcel Pabst making a move ahead of Spezzi, and of course that is for position, and that now puts Marcel Pabst up into net P3. Of course, Molimo's your net race leader. Ryan Camporsi's net P2 and Marcel Pabst now reigning off that podium. Of course, behind we've got Spezzi fending off from D'Amico, who was very quick at the start of this race, was very quick at the end of the first stint. So you'd imagine it should be an easy move here for the Ferrari.
Yeah, I think you'd think that, but Spezzi doesn't seem too interested in letting the Ferrari pass without a fight. He's trying to do it. Oh, through Max and Beckett. He's trying to do it here. Can he get the inside of Chapel? This is a very dangerous place to make the move, but he wasn't quite able to. But that is bravery, clearly, and confidence in the car from the Ferrari. Down the straight he goes, burning that battery. Can he get a move? Going towards Stowe corner. Down the inside he goes, trying to stick a nose there, but there isn't quite the space. He's got another opportunity now, though, down the hill, going towards Vale. But the Audi managing to hold off the threat. And Spezzi doing everything he can to keep the red in his wing mirrors.
Indeed, and straight away, as this is Alessandro Finn and Tom Wolfgram coming together down towards the final couple of corners. They've got Lucas SL behind them. They make their way through the final corner. Is there a chance here for Wolfgram to go for the move? He can! Oh, wow, what a move. Epic. There we go. That's half of my challenge done. And we'll talk about that later of why I've had to say that phrase, but it's to do with Mr. Omi, who's over in F2 at the minute, and they've had a brilliant race so far, I've heard. As Alessandro Finn goes back up the inside of Lucas SL, jumps up into 16th. And I suppose that I've not done much racing on F1 for a while. I'm not that good either. I mean, in terms of mindset, how do you put yourself in a good mindset when you're near the back of the grid and you know you've got no chance of actually getting anything out of the race? I mean, I'd struggle heavily.
I think it is just believing that there might be a chance. I mean, with a grid like this, there is so much randomness that can happen. We've seen a few collisions. Safety cars could be a possibility. Just so you can get anything to cling hope onto. It's a long way to go left.
You take a look at my stream. Tell me that you can also not see the front wing on Tom's car. Once we get an off-board view in a second, there's no front wing on that car.
I think I saw that earlier. I'm on an onboard as well. I'm actually got the same onboard you're on. We'll wait until it comes off. I think that might be a glitched front wing. I can't imagine he's going that fast
Yeah.
with a full front wing, and you're right, yeah.
Oh, my. The glitches have returned, and this time it's... Well, he's got everything apart from the nose cone as Alessandro Finn goes back through on Wolfgram and jumps up into 15th. Right, looking ahead, let's look at the gaps here. So Monimo to Rayam is about, what's that, 3 seconds? That's came down by a couple of seconds over the last couple of laps. Now, thinking about it, Monimo could hold on. But one thing I've noticed as well is the sky is getting very, very grey.
You're absolutely right.
Is there rain?
Could that be? Yeah, could that be an absolute strategy masterclass from that front two currently? Or actually, there's P4 as well, Nodinatux, who hasn't made their mandatory pit stop yet. Is that why he's staying out so long on mediums, Robotham? Is there rain on the way?
Would be. That could explain why Monimo went in so early. As in the chats, Greg Darn says upgraded straight line mod, I guess. I suppose so, Gregory. And, you know, yourself as an esports engineer, I suppose you have to know all the little things you could do to make a car quicker. However, I don't imagine in the long run that would be the strategy to go for. Go for no nose cone. But it is getting very dark, so I'm thinking here there's possibly rain. And is that why Robothan's staying out so long, potentially? No rain. Damn it, says Tyler. Brilliant. That throws our ideas out the window.
You never know. Well, maybe there's a game will surprise us all. As Camporsi making the move on Odinatux and up to P4, continuing the chase on Molimo. And I've also noticed as well, someone to keep an eye on, P14, Dennis Kamensky. He's caught up to the back of the train. Is there still hope for him to cut through?
Let's hope so. I mean, Robothan comes in, Zwed will come in, and Odinotux. That already puts Kamensky up to P11 potentially, so there's still a chance that he can just sneak into the top 10. Of course, was running comfortably in the top 2. Then he got turned around by Ryan Camporsi, and I think it was lap 5. And of course, from then his race was over. Oh, when they collide, Dennis Kamensky and Simone Equestra in towards turn 4. Not ideal at all, but they do get going again. They've just lost heavy time.
It's so difficult mentally for Dennis here. He knows he's quicker than the cars ahead of him, but he just can't rush moves like this. They are still very quality drivers here. They won't be willing to just give up a position because he was originally up at the front. He'll need to fight through, but it'll need to be safe.
Certainly. And they're gonna. I'd imagine they can probably get back onto the rear of Gill and those ahead, but it's not going to be an easy task. That is safe to say, as we do see some potential moves. Cavero on the back of Spezzi, but Lifts off heavily just to save up some of that battery to regen, ready for the next straight as Kamensky does get the move ahead of Simone and gets that move done nice and comfortably as Mollymo goes ahead of Swade. So after pitting very early on, finally Mollymo goes back into the lead of the British Grand Prix for the first round of season 43 here in PSGL PCF4, and Swade will go in. So that then will put Ryan Camporzi up into P2 and Marcel Pabst back up into third. But I still think here D'Amico is going to be a surprise package in terms of a driver that can get on the podium.
You're absolutely right. You can't forget that that front two do have older tyres. Camporzi now being caught by the pack, and he is running with 3-lap older tyres than those behind. This is going to be difficult for him to hold them off. He needs to hurry up and catch up to Mollymo for that defence.
Superb move there by Cavero and nearly took the back out of Spezzi. Of Odinotux there heading through turn 3. That was scary, and Cavero does get the move done, and they can focus on trying to get ahead of the Audi, which I'd imagine he can do so quite quickly. Got better tyres, and Spezzi seems to have lost a little bit of that pace that he had earlier on in the race. So I imagine that move's a given for Alexi Cavero at one point. Of course, has been at the top of fields many times in PSGL. PCF5 last season, was fighting for the championship and lost out in the final race at Abu Dhabi. So he definitely knows about pressure and making late moves in a race. We go back up to the front and look at the gaps now. Mollymo has a 1.2 second gap. He's got 3-lap older tyres. I'm starting to think here, once Ryan Camporzi gets within a second, how can Mollymo keep those 3 behind? There's no way. I mean, Marcel Pabst and D'Amico have got 6-lap better tyres. There's no way on earth he can keep them behind, even if he is a couple of tenths a lap quicker than everybody.
It's going to be a lot of driver skill for defence and also a lot of praying in the cockpit, I'm sure, because this is going to be difficult.
Certainly will be. Lap 17 of 26, and Mollymo is your race leader. That gap's coming down slowly. Can Ryan get it within a second, so next lap round, he gets that boost mode. Marcel Pabst is there as well, though, in the Aston Martin. You'd imagine he's also looking to get a move ahead, though, of Ryan Camporzi, because he's also very quick, got a lot of pace in that Aston Martin. As Alex Lamas goes ahead of Odinotux. A nice move for P8, and so does Pascal Gill, makes a move as well. The two Cadillacs looking to score points here in the opening round, as D'Amico is also all over the back of Marcel Pabst. And then now within a second of Mollymo, so you've got a 4-way battle for the lead. And Spez is also joining the battle. He's got within a second now. And if Mollymo can hold them all behind, that is going to allow some of those further back to make a move. And that was naughty from D'Amico. He did that, so he doesn't get a warning. He's been caught out, though.
Yeah, he's been caught out. And they are going to be in the boost mode range of Mollymo down this straight. This is going to be difficult to defend. There they come. All drivers burning down the straight. Heading towards Stoke Corner. Is there a move potentially? It looks like D'Amico getting closer to the rear of the Aston Martin, but not an opportunity to dive for it. They go down into the chicane. There's an opportunity here. Not quite, but they're running nose and tail so close together, but no moves yet. Moving on to lap 18.
Indeed, and here's the chance now for Ryan Camporzi to strike and to potentially take the lead of the British Grand Prix. But he's got Pabst and D'Amico there with him. Down towards turn 2 and 3 they go. They're all closing up together. Pabst is on the outside line, but he can't quite find the move, and has to tuck him behind now in third still. But he's going to be so annoyed. He's so close to that P2 spot, and every time he can't quite put the car in the correct position. But you'd imagine now, this is the time where Mollymo loses that race lead as we head down towards Brooklands Corner. But no, Ryan once again, he's holding that battery. He doesn't want to make the move just yet on the V-Carb in the lead. You've got Pabst and D'Amico still closing in. If they got an opportunity, maybe down towards Copse Corner, because here is Pabst burning the battery down towards Copse Corner, but he stays behind. But he wants that move so bad, doesn't he? You can tell.
Yes, running so close together, and they're going to come towards Magus and Baggett's here. Difficult to make an overtake. We've seen attempts earlier in the race for an overtake here, but still waiting and waiting for that straight, running nose to tail. Can't make any mistakes now. Here we go, onto the straight. All burning their battery. I think it might be Camporzi who nailed the exit there. He's looking for the race lead. Has he got the battery to make the move? Not quite. Can Pabst come back at him? Staying in the same order still.
Camporzi is quite content on holding P2 here, but Marcel Pabst is going for the opportunity into the chicane, but he can't quite make it work. But that's been a poor exit from Ryan. but he knows what to do. He immediately gets onto the line that Marcel Paps was going to take and holds on. But D'Amico going for the move into turn 1, but he can't quite make it here. And this is going to get messy now because everybody's trying to hold up and other drivers are trying to make moves as Paps goes for the overtake. But deep on the brakes goes Ryan. Can he hold on to the P2? He can. He holds on somehow, even though it looked like he was going off to Narnia on the brake in towards Village Corner. And now we go down towards Brooklands once again. Is this the time that Camporsi can go for the move? Because Pabst is on him into turn 7. Pabst up the inside. Side by side between these two for the first time. And Camporsi somehow holds on.
Oh my God, fantastic defense there from the Alpine. He will not yield this fight, and he will not allow Pabst to get through despite all the attempts. We go to the run towards Cops. Will the Aston Martin get another opportunity? Not quite. And he also needs to be keeping an eye on his wing mirrors because there's a Ferrari D'Amico trying to get involved as well.
There certainly is. And back into Maggots and Beggots we go. Monimo, somehow, is still in the lead of this race. He's not dropped away from that lead at all. He's always been the net race leader, realistically, as we head our way back down towards Stowe Corner. Is this a chance? Ryan's burning the battery, but no, he's got no battery. He's had to burn it all to keep Pabst behind, so that's the issue he's got. Monimo's burning the battery because he knows Ryan's also doing the same, because the two behind are a lot quicker. So they're stuck in a bit of a stalemate here at this moment. And Spezzi and Alexi Cavero have joined the battle. Now, those two could be a bit of a surprise to enter this battle, along with D'Amico, who was never really in a podium shape, but he's certainly in one now as we head into turn 1. D'Amico all over the back of Marcel Pabst in the Aston Martin, but there's no opportunity down towards turn 3, and Molimo knows what to do. He immediately lifts off early to get the brakes on, to get that battery regen, so he's got enough battery to burn it out of turn 5. It's some clever racing here by Molimo as Pascal Gill and Dennis Kamensky are trading positions for P8 and P9, and Paps closing in, but once again can't quite get close enough, and Ryan Camporsi at one point has got to go for the move.
Yeah, they're almost in a stalemate. No one can make moves. They're having to switch between attacking and defending. Where can they use this battery? And where will they be able to regen it again? It's getting very, very difficult for these drivers. But here comes Camporsi, getting so close to the rear of Molimo. Is he looking for the move here? Going towards Maggers and Beckett. He's sticking a nose down the inside, but he's going to back out of it.
He's getting close. Once again, Ryan going for the move, and I think there was a slight bit of contact there between the two, because they both had a bit of a wiggle through Beckett's and down towards Stowe we go. Now, is this a chance for moves to happen? Because they're all burning the battery. Ryan goes through to take the lead. Here's Marcel Pabst. He's boxed in behind the two. He can't find the move through. What can he do? Down towards the chicane as Molimo goes back through to take the lead. It's going to be side by side. There's contact as D'Amico hits the back of Ryan. A bit of a side for Molimo. He drops down to P2. Spezzi on the outside line trying to make the move into P4. It's all erupted here on lap 21. Ryan Camporsi, your race leader. Molimo P2. Paps third. D'Amico fourth. And Spezzi down to P5 once again.
Oh, that was contact going towards turn 1 with the Audi and the Ferrari, forcing Spezzi off track, but they're still wheel-to-wheel going through Village Corner. Now the Ferrari's got the inside of turn 4, forcing the Audi wide. Spezzi has to concede. That was fantastic defence from D'Amico.
Here comes Alexi Cavero as well, entering the battle. On lap 21, he's been sitting there waiting for the opportunities. D'Amico is looking for the move on Molimo. You'd imagine now that the poor V-Carb will just drop further and further down the field. He's been dispatched from his P1. I don't know how he's got to hold on to 4th, 5th and 6th, and the way it's going, maybe Pascal Gill can get involved in that train, which goes all the way down to P11. Make our way through Copse Corner once again, and Ryan Camporsi is still your race leader ahead of Marcel Pabst. Monimo holding on to 3rd at the moment, but D'Amico and Spezzi and Cavero are all there for the taking to maybe get themselves onto the podium for the first race of season 43. Down towards Stowe Corner we go once again. Ryan Camporsi shouldn't be under any pressure here from Marcel Pabst, but D'Amico, he's certainly putting all the pressure over Molimo into Stowe. Trying to maybe edge a wheel up the inside, but it's so difficult to go for a send into Stowe. But can he make it down towards a Val chicane? On the brakes, to the outside goes D'Amico. It's going to give him the inside line through in towards the second part, through the final corner. D'Amico up into P3, and that's a superb move, and you'd imagine now Molimo can't fight back.
Yeah, that was a great move, very opportunistic. He found the gap round the outside, and he gets the move done. And now I think Molimo might be in trouble because there's the two drivers. Oh, they're actually more interested in fighting each other. That down the inside goes Cavero on Spezzi going towards Village. He's now going to have the outside of turn 4, trying to force the McLaren, I should say, to yield round the outside. He's got more battery, so much grip on the McLaren, though, round the outside at turn 5. And I think he's managed to make the move, and he might continue this run up towards Molimo. But he's just got boxed in, going through Brooklands. Down the inside goes the Alpine to defend. Oh, I got close. And the McLaren has to yield. So close to track limits as well.
I think there was contact there between the two because it looked like Cavero got pushed a little bit wide and, of course, has lost his momentum through there. Has he got a good enough run here through Cops to stay with them? He's only 2.5 tenths back, so it's not over for him at this moment. And I'm sure he'll be looking to get that moved on Spezzy. He's got better tyres. I know it's by lap, but it's still better. And of course, a lot better tyres than Molimo, who's starting to really lose that train of the top 3. Ryan Camporsi ahead of Marcel Paps and D'Amico third. Molimo then is 7 tenths back. So realistically, Spezzy and Alexi need to get on with this quickly. Otherwise, they're going to be out of a second from D'Amico and those ahead. We head through into Stowe Corner to begin lap 23 of 26 shortly. And Camporsi is going to have to hold on because he's got worse tyres than Pabst and D'Amico. Once we get to maybe lap 24, 25, that's when they'll look to strike. There's no point doing it now because that gives then an opportunity for Camporsi to fight back.
Absolutely, and you predicted it absolutely perfect as well. Look, there's Pascal Gill, who's managed to connect to the back of the train, bringing all the way down to P11, including Denis Kamensky, who was originally at the start of this race within this fight. So we've now got a lot of cars in this train fighting for position.
Certainly have been a superb race so far to open up season 43 here at Silverstone. There's still many battles that are yet to be decided, positions that are yet to be decided. The main one is your top 3. We don't know who's going to be where at the moment. And Monimo, even though we did drop back on the last lap to around 8 tenths behind, he's back with them again. So if these 3 start to maybe get a little bit too close and start to make contact, no reason why Monimo can't charge back through. And given that he was, he's on such a different strategy, one that shouldn't really be working, I think he's doing a superb job to hold on to P4 here because as many other drivers will be already down towards P8, P9 for sure. So Monimo's done a perfect job and proving once again he's probably one of the fastest drivers in this tier.
Absolutely. He might be potentially a puncher risk at the end of the race. So he'll be having to monitor that, I'm sure, with such older tyres compared to the rest of the field. But you're going towards Stowe Corner. No moves yet, but I think Cavero had a little peek on the inside of Spezzy there, but not able to make a move. Heading towards Vale, and they're still saying single file. Everyone keeping it a lot safer and less risky than we've seen earlier in this race. But they're running so close together. Any small mistake, and he might collect some cars behind.
Certainly. As lap 24 begins, 2 laps to go after this race. No, after this lap, sorry. And then we'll see who is going to be our race winner, because Pabst is starting now to push a little bit more and force Camporsi to burn the battery. That's what he wants to do. He wants Camporsi to burn so he can just shoot past. He's not letting the Alpine lift and regen as much as we head our way back down towards Brooklands Corner. Is there a move here for the lead? Bit of a dummy send, but stays behind, does Marcel Pabst. But he's got to be careful because if he still goes for those dummy moves and makes a mistake, D'Amico's right there ready to go through on him. So he's got to be careful, Marcel Pabst, of what he does in terms of faking sends up the inside on Ryan Camporsi.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's the case for a lot of drivers in this train, having to manage attacking versus defending, keeping an eye on your wing mirrors, while also trying to climb through the field. It's the most difficult part of management with these new cars.
Indeed, Spezzy here, all over the back of Molimo, who's all over the back of D'Amico and holding on well on those 19-lap-old hard tyres. And I think if he went for that normal strategy, he'd easily be leading this race, I think, because he's been so quick and on par with the pace on all the tyres. There's moves happening into Stowe Corner. Alexi Cavero looking for the send on Spezzy. It'll be side by side down towards the chicane. No move there. And Pabst goes for it on the 24th lap here at Silverstone. Marcel Pabst takes the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Ryan Camporsi. And of course, Ryan now could be under immense pressure from D'Amico. Down towards turn 1 we go. Of course, that gap's still within a couple of tenths. Is there a chance for Ryan to fight back? I don't think there is. But there's certainly a chance for D'Amico to close up even more and maybe go for that second place move for Denis Kamensky after fighting back up to P7. Gets given a penalty for multiple track limit violations. And Alexi Cavero does look to make that move ahead of Spezzy. But Spezzy's back on him on the outside down to Brooklands Corner.
This is going to be close racing, heading towards Brooklands. Late on the brakes of both cars, but the McLaren has the inside line, and Cavero moves up to 5th. And I did actually manage to catch that 3-second for Kamensky, forced off at turn 1 by Gill. Really close racing between the pair of them, and that is so unlucky for the Mercedes.
Certainly. Well, if he doesn't go off track again, he could potentially get that removed if that's the case.
Yeah.
Which would be nice for Kamensky because he's done a great job of driving back through the field after dropping down with contacts with Ryan Camporsi on the lap 7 or lap 8. As you can see there, Molimo's lost out heavily. Will lose that boost mode for the final lap, so it should be an easy pass for Alexi Cavero and Spezzi. And of course, we've still got a battle for the lead in this one as Alexi Cavero goes up into P4. That was an easy move. Spezzi can also look to attack, but can't quite make the move down towards Stowe. Can he do it down towards the chicane? Because there's Dennis Kamensky there as well on the outside line in the Mercedes looking to make a move. Someone goes straight on. Who was that? That was Kamensky. He gets spun around again. Oh, dear me. What a shame for Kamensky. And nearly made contact with Thomas Robotham, but there we go. Down to turn 1, last lap of the race. Ryan Camporsi all over the back of Marcel Pabst. What can he do to fight against the Aston Martin? Nothing on this occasion.
This is going to go close all the way to the line. The Alpine looking down, looking inside at turn 4. Trying to stick a nose there, but can't quite get the exit required. It's going to come down to who has more battery on the race down towards Brooklands. I think D'Amico might be getting involved here, making a 3-way battle for the lead. Pulls to the inside on the Alpine, late on the brakes, going towards Brooklands, and he's a whole car ahead at the apex of the corner. What a fantastic move for him.
And D'Amico might have that chance to fight for the lead here against Marcel Pabst. Got one driver who's part of the team owned by Thibaut Courtois. The other one is part of FST. Big different, a big caliber difference between these two teams, and they can still fight together side by side on track. That's what we love about this PCF4 grid. No matter what team you're in, you can fight up at the front. D'Amico has an opportunity. Of course, their battery is very similar here. Mistake though, a bit of a mistake for D'Amico out of Chapel Corner. I think Pabst might be able to hold on here down towards Stowe on the final lap. The final opportunity here for D'Amico. They both fight through Stowe Corner down to the chicane. I don't think there's any opportunity for D'Amico to go through. I think Marcel Pabst has driven a well race and should hold on to that lead through the final corner for the final time. It's Marcel Pabst that wins the opener here in season 43 of PCF4. It's second for D'Amico, and Ryan Camporsi holds on to that podium in third after holding that lead for so long. Unfortunately, he loses it, but he will still come home with a podium. And Alexi Cavero, P4. But for me, Molimo, a superb drive, somehow holds on to P5 with 22 lap tyres. Went for the alternate strategy, and in the end it worked. Well, worked-ish, I suppose, because I thought he'd be all the way down towards P9, P10.
It was tyre whispering at its finest just to get to the end of the race from my point of view, but that was fantastic. I don't think you quite caught it, but just behind that incredible battle for the lead, Pascal Gill and Alex Lamas making contact, the two Cadillacs, allowing Lamanen to get past. So maybe some harsh words after the race between those two.
Certainly. We'll have to keep an eye, and I mean, we don't often see arguing in the chat, but I'd love to see some now. I do love a little bit of rivalry between drivers, but I mean, I still think there's still a potential penalty on the cards for Ryan Camporsi for his contact with Dennis Kamensky. I still think that's a possibility which could still bring Cavero and Molimo back into the equation of podiums. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. We'll go through the final classification in a moment of what's been a hectic race. And I mean, that is a perfect way, Abby, to start off F126 with an absolute bang.
Yeah, that was fantastic. As close as we expected, as it reflected from qualifying, and the race could have gone any of many, many ways.
Certainly, as we're going to hope to get the top three into for an interview. So why don't you, Avi, take us through the final classification of the first round of season 43?
Absolutely, I can. Once it loads up for me, Marcel Pabst right up at the front, started on the second row, but makes it first by the end of the race. He finishes first with D'Amico in second. Our podium rounded up by Ryan Camporsi. Alex Cavero finishes in fourth with Molimo, Spezzi, Gill, Lamanen, Lamas, and Robotham rounding off the top 10. Alessandro Finn just outside that top 10 classification. Kudzela in 12th, followed by Quasi, Odenatux, Lucas SL, Tom Wolfgram, leading down to the bottom few positions is Jonas Orpel, Simone Equestre, unfortunately dropping down despite starting up in P8. Dennis Kamensky with that late spin despite being in that front field, and with 3 DNFs at the back with Jacobs, Steins, and Tonelato.
Indeed, there we have it, and I think it's time to have an interview here with Marcel Pabst, our race winner. We'll drag him into the interview room in a quick moment. Marcel, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Of course I can.
Perfect. Well, what a way to start off Season 43 with a win. Of course, it wasn't easy though, was it? Because those last few laps, everybody was going at it, and I suppose that's what we get with this new battery system where it's so difficult to hold on to a position once you've got it because it's so easy for those behind to fight back. So you've got to play it like a chess game and kind of put yourself in the right position at the right time.
Exactly. To be honest, I like those new regulations. Like, the car feels really good. And as I said, it's just a chess game to... Like, if you're in the lead, you just have to watch behind. And guess when he's using or gets closer. So you can defend with your own battery, but... Yeah.
I mean, headed into the season on a whole, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting calendar. A race win to start things off. I mean, surely the championship fight's on. I know we're only at Rain 1, but a win, you've got to have that confidence, haven't you?
Of course, I was a little bit surprised at them. I thought maybe I would have gotten F3, but that would have been the maximum because I literally hate TT and yeah, I literally hate this, and I kind of expected it to be low tier, not with my teammates in F2. I kind of expected it, but yeah, as you said, starting off a win into this season comes nice, and I hope it's going to continue for the rest of the season.
Certainly, and I think the main thing to mention, of course, is your new team, of course, from ETA to over there to Timo Quartar Esports. I mean, how does it feel to be such a prestigious team with, you know, such a very, very well-known sports person?
Yeah, it's very, very nice to get an opportunity like this, and I think any other driver would have fancied this. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the new team, with my teammates, with my engineers, especially Giovanni, who does a lot of work behind the scenes, like setup work, strategy work, reading the game, and our work as a team, like in a voice call, figuring out some stuff, practicing and everything else. It's perfect for the new Rex, and yeah, it's gonna continue like this, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Certainly. Well, Marcel, thanks for popping in for a chat. Great to speak to you as always, and hopefully we'll see you on the podium as the season goes on. So yes, a big congratulations on the win, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, and thank you for casting.
There we go, Avi. Great to speak to our race winner, Marcel Pabst. We'll move our way back over to the camera screens as we end off what's been a superb opening round. I mean, you've got more of this every week. I'm going to be probably jumping around here and there to other tiers, but you've got F4 for a whole season. I mean, it's going to be a good one, isn't it?
I hope very much that you're jealous of what we've
I am.
this evening. I get to see it every single week. Incredibly close. It seems like there was definitely some confidence on Pab's side, but there's just such high quality there. So many top drivers who maybe didn't get the result they wanted, but we're at China next week. It's going to be all a different story.
Certainly. And I mean, yeah, the calendar itself, we've got lots of different tracks, which I think will go into some races where drivers who may normally not be at the front will get to the front just because the track's a bit different and it can work to their strengths. So I think that's a good thing. We've got a big disparity in the different tracks. So we'll definitely come to other drivers' aids for sure. But I mean, looking at drivers on the grid, I mean, who do you think will be your front runners? Because we've seen a bit of a glimpse today. Of course, Marcel Pabst took the win and Monimo took the pole. But I mean, who else do you think that we can see fighting up near the top?
I think I said it in qualifying as well, and I know the race didn't work out so much to their favour, but we've got to remember the test drivers. Kamensky, so unlucky there with the two contacts, but he looks so quick trying to fight back through the field. And I'm told Kutsela, his wheel stopped shifting. And that, I mean, yeah, when it's tech problems like that, it's even more frustrating because there's nothing you can blame it on. There's no one you can blame it on, and it's just happened. So I hope he bounces back for next week. Certainly.
And of course, looking over at the calendar before we head off, of course, we're back for China. Next time out is on the 23rd of July, same time, same place, 8 PM UK time, here on the PSGL YouTube channel. But before we go, anything left to say, Avi, before we close off?
Make sure you make your Thursdays available because I think we're on for a great season.
Certainly. Well, once again, guys, thank you all for joining us once again for a new season of PSGL Racing. Of course, we have the console, which begins on Monday, so make sure to tune into that for your F1, F2 and F3 action. And of course, we're back next week on Thursdays for PCF2 through the PCF5. So once again, a big thanks to you all. Of course, follow us over on our socials at Premier Sim GL to keep updated on everything Sim Racing. And we'll see you all next week. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.